this right here is the industry that so many people protect. People need to understand, man, when we go and do this like independent stuff, there's a lot of stuff that that's an issue with comic books. It's not simply the content problems that they have. That's part of it. The political stuff or overtly political slanted stuff, meaning that it only seems to go on one side of the spectrum. Like, that's not the issue, or not the core issue. There's all sorts of problems. People that watch my channel, you understand it. One of those is the economics. It's the archaic model. It's the creative sort of being ripped off. And I think people need to understand, the folks that are so just hell bent on being so protective of this industry, the mainstream industry, this is what you are protecting. There's a story. I'm going to pull this up real quick. There's a story that is very familiar. People have, I mean, if you follow comic book related material, you've seen this, but here it is, coming from comicbookmovie.com. Moon Knight comic book artist says he hasn't been paid for Mr. Knight's appearance in Disney Plus. So Shalvey, who created Moon Knight, ain't got nothing for it. In recent years, it's become clear that many comic writers and artists are unhappy with how they're compensated by Marvel Studios when characters they've created or designed are used on screen. Somewhat complicating the matter is the fact that creators in the industry are paid on a work-for-hire basis. That's not the issue at all. It has nothing to do with it. Whether they're employee, that's completely irrelevant to the issue. The issue is that these contracts aren't necessarily favorable, and it's not like these guys have any sort of knowledge to pursue it and actually do something about it. There's some that do, and those that do end up often winning, settling. But for just a regular person that's doing artwork over the years, artwork or writing over the years, there's nothing in their contracts, royalties that are, let's say, going to be favorable. But out of fear of being blacklisted, out of fear of being, let's say, canceled per se, they're not going to be as aggressive as I think they should to get this information out there and have them do something about it. So that's the end of the industry where creatives, like we just did a video not too long ago where we were discussing this very topic, not necessarily the royalty stuff. We've done videos on that, but we talked about how you have so many creatives that are griping about not being paid, but they have to do it in secret. Like that one guy, he's done work for Marvel and DC, we covered, and he's like, I'm saying this out of fear of getting blacklisted. I'm getting money late, months late, all of that stuff after completing commissions. But he doesn't want to like name the names of the company, which means he's probably talking about Marvel and DC, because he's fearful of getting blacklisted. That is the industry that these weirdos who are against us so much are protecting. That does make sense. It says, but you can also understand why these writers and artists will like more than just a mention in the credits. One creator even said they only received $5,000 for a movie that grossed $1 billion. Well, it's more than likely not in your contract. You're probably getting a one-time fee. It's not going to be in your contract to make money based on how, unless you negotiated it. You know, if you had the force, if you could see that far down the road and you negotiated it, well, maybe you could. But all things considered, you're going to get most times it goes like this. In that contract that they probably just signed, didn't even read, didn't have anybody, no lawyer, anybody read, it probably does have something about movies. If it does, it's going to have something about movies and TV shows. And what's going to happen is they're going to get paid, not a percentage, but they'll get paid per time this either storyline is utilized or character that they created is utilized on a movie or TV. And of course, it's going to have more language that's going to be favorable for the studios in the event that it gets created. And you're going to get usually a one-time fee. And look, man, if you've negotiated properly, you can eat off a lot of that. And every time these guys show up, you're going to get money. But, and are they talking about the Hawkeye one? Let me see this one. Sent 5,000 over a movie. Is this the? Because I remember Hawk. Kate Bishop. I think that creator was griping about some stuff. I I can't see which one they're talking. It doesn't. I had to actually read it. Marvel Comics artist recently took to social media to express his excitement over the introduction of Mr. Knight in the upcoming Moon Knight TV series. However, he later responded to fans by confirming he hasn't been paid. It's also worth noting that Michael Lark was first to draw Moon Knight wearing a suit in the pages of Secret Avengers. While it's clearly Shabby's work that has heavily inspired what we'll see in the MCU, this isn't quite as simple as David Aja's recent Hawkeye complaints. You can see Shabby comments below, and this is right here. It says it's nuts. He drew something out of his brain, and he can't quite describe it. And he says, expect the former, not the latter. When someone asked him, hope there's art created in the credits and a payout. And yeah, it's not. So I'm guessing it's the design. Yes, the design that he's griping about. Not necessarily being the creator, but I guess the design of what he drew is appearing here, and he's not going to get money for it. Now, look, it would be insane if he actually created like a design, or he actually created the character. I can see him getting paid off. Not anybody that's just, oh, I come along and I just drew a character that was already existing, and that was like, obviously that person's not going to get paid. But it is industry standard, as it does talk about in some of these other things. I think maybe that's what they're talking about in the Hawkeye complaints. In that, well, people are seeing things that they created, that they specifically created, whole characters, and they're not getting payouts for it. You got to negotiate that. So, look, I guess you can look at it like that. If they're not going to protect themselves, do they deserve saving? So I guess that's part of it. But on the other side, understand the customers, not these fans who probably don't buy a lot of this stuff, who are so protective of that. Understand what industry it is that you're protecting. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.